What is going on, everyone? Let's take a look at more cities where you can buy a home for under $100,000. In case you didn't see the last video, we are focusing on cities that have a good amount of homes going for $100,000 or less. These are cities that aren't a total nightmare. Home prices in the United States are skyrocketing right now, and the average sale price in the fourth quarter of 2021 was close to $400,000. That's the sale price, not the median listing price. The median listing price is closer to $300,000. For a lot of people in this country, those numbers are depressing. They can't afford it. You start thinking you'll never be able to achieve the American dream of owning a home. Don't worry, you still can. There are cities in the US that have plenty of homes where you could reach that goal and make it happen. Are they the best cities in the United States? Probably not. Will you find Malibu, California or Aspen, Colorado on this list? Not a chance. What you will find are cities that have a lot of homes the average person that works full-time can actually afford. Even if you're making minimum wage, if you're working full-time, you should be able to afford a house in these cities. Let's take a look. Number 10, Birmingham, Alabama. Birmingham is not a bad city that is considered by most kind of a city with a lot of poverty and crime. It's actually not that bad of a place to live. It's a very historical city too. In the 1950s and 60s, Birmingham received national and international attention because of the whole civil rights struggle for African Americans. Birmingham isn't a big city. They only have a population of a little over 200,000. Personally, I think the biggest drawback to this place is the summer heat and humidity and bugs. Oh, every time I've gone there, it's been in the summer and it's been pretty rough. I don't know if I just show up during heat waves or something, but it's been pretty rough. Birmingham is also the first city to recognize Veterans Day. They have the oldest and largest Veterans Day celebration. I always thought that was interesting. That's why I was there, by the way. The median home value in Birmingham is $93,000. The percentage of homes worth less than $100,000, 54.2% of them. Number 9, Buffalo, New York. Been to Buffalo quite a few times, mostly when I was a younger kid, but I have family up that way. I don't mind Buffalo at all. It's actually a nice place. It gets painfully cold. If that stuff doesn't bother you, it's a great place to live. They do have a little more crime than you'd like to see in a place you're moving to, but it's not like Southside Chicago, East St. Louis crime. The median home value in Buffalo, New York is $89,800. Homes worth less than $100,000, 53.8% of them. Number 8, Erie, Penn. I have never been to Erie, Penn. One of the few cities in Pennsylvania I've never been really near. I did, however, get in a fight in basic training with a guy from Erie, Penn. Bretter was his name. I hit him with an anti-tank weapon. Not like shot it at him. This was like a training one. There was no explosives in it. It was, basically a tube. But he was swinging a shovel at me, so I had to do something. Good times when you're 19. Erie is another city that gets extremely cold. Their median home value here is $89,100. Homes worth less than $100,000, 62% of them. What I really like about Erie, Penn is it doesn't really have bad crime stats. I mean, normally when we do a city like this, they're going to have, 50% above the national average or 10% at least. They're 1% above the national average. Their property crime is actually 3% lower than the national average. Their violent crimes, where it gets a little sticky, they're 20%. But trust me, that's not bad. There's places in this country where it's 450% above the national average. So Erie, Pennsylvania, if you don't mind the cold, this is not a bad place to find a cheap house. You might want to bring a job though. If you work remotely, this is a solid option. Number 7, Harlingen, Texas. Harlingen is down there between McAllen and Brownsville, not too far from South Padre Island and the Gulf. This is a great place to live. Statistically, cost of living is like 25% below the national average, and their crime rate isn't terrible. It's only like 40% above the national average. Like I said, we got places that are 400% above the national average. They're not the best when it comes to jobs, and their poverty level's a little high, but that might not be for much longer. Elon Musk and all his SpaceX or Tesla or whatever's going on, they're building a giant plant down there, and they're going to need a lot of people working there, and they pay pretty good. So I think this is a really good option now. Prices are going to go up the next few years, I'm sure, but right now, there's a lot of homes for under $100,000. The median home value in Harlingen is $87,000, which is solid, and 57% of the homes here are worth less than $100. Number 6, Battle Creek, Michigan. Battle Creek, Michigan is where most people stop when they're driving from Detroit to Michigan and they take a leak and get some gas. Battle Creek, Michigan has seen some better days. It's kind of a city that's on the decline, like so many cities in Michigan. They don't have a lot of jobs, and their crime rate, it's not great. It's only 49% above the national average. It's not terrible, but their cost of living is 22% lower than the national average. This place is a great option. Again, you got to watch out for heavy mosquitoes in the summer, and it gets cold, but it is cheap. The median home value here is $86,500, and the percentage of homes worth less than $100,000, 58% of them. Number 5, South Bend, Indiana. You never hear about South Bend, Indiana unless someone's talking about the Fighting Irish or Pete Buttigieg. He used to be the mayor there. South Bend is a place that's normally hot and cold when it comes to population growth. The 2020 census showed that they had grown by 2.3%. The 2010, they lost 6%, then they gained 2% in 2000, then they lost almost 4% in 1990. So they go back and forth, and it's been that way throughout their history. Right now, it's a good time to move there. They only got about 103,000 residents in South Bend. At their peak in the 1970s, they were around 130,000 residents. South Bend has the most crime that we've had on one of the cities on this list. It's actually 130% higher than the national average. That's not good, but their overall cost of living is about 25% lower than the national average, and their housing is almost 50% lower than the national average. So it's a little bit of a trade-off. It's a little more dangerous, but it's cheap. The median home value in South Bend, Indiana is $85,000. Homes worth less than $100,000. That's 60% of them, 60.3 actually. Number 4, Lansing, Michigan. Lansing, Michigan is the capital of Michigan, and I've been there. There's not much to this city. If you don't know where Lansing is, it is between Grand Rapids and Detroit, Michigan. It's not a bad state capital. There's definitely worse. It's just kind of dull when I was there. But their crime rate's a little high, 89% above the national average. Their cost of living's really good. It's like 20% below the national average. Their housing's 51% below the national average, so they're not doing bad there. Last time I was there, an elderly gentleman yelled at me in traffic. I was in the wrong. Yes, I know. I wasn't familiar with the place, but it's just uncomfortable when older gentlemen are yelling things at you in reference to women's undergarments. It was just, I'm not even getting into what he said. It just kind of got me off guard where I was like, had a shocked look on my face and said, "What'd you just say?" And he stamped his feet and he yelled it again. I started laughing, drove on. But anyway, moving on to Lansing, Michigan. The median home value here is $83,000, and the percentage of homes worth less than $100,000, 66% of them. Not bad. Number 3, Rochester, New York. Again, a lot of family here. I'm going to now post a picture of my cousin's house and her address so you can all go by and say hello. Just kidding, I'd never do that. Rochester is right on Lake Ontario, kind of between Buffalo and Syracuse. This is another city that gets extremely snowy during the winter. So if you're not into snow, scratch this one and Buffalo off your list right away. Don't ever move there if you hate snow. Rochester, they got a little crime, 78% above the national average. Not the worst, but it's definitely there. If you do decide to move to the Flower City, you might want to bring a job because they're not really knocking it out of the park with employment numbers. And they are called the Flower City, as in the powder flower, but they also have another nickname, the Flower City, as in the actual flower, the plant type one. Both of them. I get the feeling they went with flower, as in the plant, and then someone misspelt it and they just decided to roll with it. The median home value in Rochester, New York is $83,100, and 62% of the homes here are worth less than $100,000. Number 2, Decatur, Illinois. Saw a female comic one time who was from Decatur, Illinois. She said she had a dream board, and on there was like marry Brad Pitt, own a house on the beach, visit Paris, and never move back to Decatur, Illinois. Decatur, Illinois is a great place to move to if you've given up on your dreams or you really want a cheap house. Either one. The houses are really cheap. If you just poke around Zillow, you could find homes for under like $70,000, in between like $40,000 and $70,000 that are ready to move in. 2, 3 bedrooms, 2 bath. You could move in there. You could buy what's like a mansion in Decatur for like $350,000, but they have more than enough for under $100,000. The median home value in Decatur, Illinois is $83,000, and the percentage of homes worth less than $100,000, 63%. Their crime isn't horrible. It's 30% above the national average, but their housing and their cost of living, it's dirt cheap to live here. All right, before we get to number 1, don't forget we have another channel called On This Day. There's a link down below. Go there. You know the drill. I've been saying this for months. Head on over there and become a subscriber. All right, on to number 1. And number 1, Muncie, Indiana. Muncie is one of those places I don't think we've ever talked about on this channel. They don't suck enough to make a really bad list. They're not great enough to make a positive list. Sort of reminds me of a guy you work with that they only let work the graveyard shift because they don't want to subject the customers to his social awkwardness or something. It's kind of what Muncie reminds me of. Muncie's weird in the fact that their total crime is 56% higher than the national average. Their violent crime rate is 17% below the national average. All their crime comes from property crime. That's because they got a lot of poverty and a lot of people without good jobs. They got jobs, just not any good jobs. I said something similar to that about another city not too long ago, and I got an email from a guy that said, I have a really good job and I live in this town. What are you talking about? And I'm all, well, what do you do? He's all, I'm a workman's comp attorney. I'm all, you're a workman's comp attorney that does really well because you live in a city that sucks. He didn't think I was funny. The median home value in Muncie, Indiana is $73,000. I looked at Muncie, Indiana's Zillow page. They've got plenty of places for you to choose from all around $50,000. And you could probably move in there and maybe have to clean the place up, but I doubt you're gonna have to reconstruct all the plumbing and everything like that. They look decent. Homes worth less than $100,000, 69% of them. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Now go out, have a great day, be nice to each other.